Welcome to Anatomy of a Frame. My name is Taugher, and today I'm going to be breaking down a recent short film I shot called Late Fee. So to get started, before even diving into any of the frames and the lighting, which I arguably think is more exciting than the camera and tech spec stuff, but for those that are curious, as we're showing this footage, we shot this short film on the Raptor XL by Red. We had iron glass Soviet Mark IIs, which various primes, and filtration, we vary between a 1/8, 1/4, and 1/2 Dream Effects filter. So to start, this is probably my favorite frame from the short. I think I love the 1-point perspective, the way the video store and the way the lights, and even the way the talent, Kyle here in the middle, I just think your eyes are brought in, and kind of an intentional thing we did throughout framing this short, and I'm sure we'll show some B-roll, is a lot of intentional framing where the subject is center framed. To dive into the cinematography, one of the kind of age-old issues as a DP is you either walk into a space and change everything to your lighting where you can control everything off an iPad, or you kind of surrender to the existing lighting of the location and leaning into it. This is a prime example. These overhead fluorescents here, we had the idea of maybe we get LED lights and we can control them all. We ended up just getting 4,500 Kelvin fluorescent tubes from Home Depot. The day before, we rigged them all up, and honestly, I think it looks great. I actually kind of love the bad CRI, the little green it adds to the frame. So I love kind of surrendering some of the imperfections you may want to get rid of by using a professional, Amaran or a Stereotube, and just kind of using existing light sources. Speaking of tubes, kind of right here, you can actually see some blue behind our subject's face. We wanted to motivate a blue neon sign, maybe on the exterior. Later in the film, when the shot reverses, you actually see a video store sign. So I kind of want to build into the world that it's night, it's after hours, the neon in front of the store is on. So I actually did, since those lights weren't there, I used 4-foot Astera tubes that were controlled that my gaffer had on his iPad. And that was really nice. It just added a little pop of color to what otherwise would have just been like a black void behind the subject. Two other things you can't really see from this frame is off camera here on basically the camera right side. We had our key light, which was I believe a Nanlite 300C, just going through a larger diffusion just to create a large soft source. The idea and motivation behind that was we were just kind of trying to wrap and motivate just sort of the soft fluorescent lighting. And it actually kind of looks like there's a cooler tone in his skin tone. And that's actually because we left the video store neon on, which is actually behind the character that's off camera here. And that is actually filling in a lot of his shadows with a little bit of coolness. We auditioned turning it off because, the idea of shooting one world, you cheat and turn other stuff off. It just felt like a completely different scene. And, I actually kind of like that it adds just a little blue in some of the highlights in his skin tones. So a combination of a key light, big, large, soft source, nan light going through some diffusion, this video store light behind him. And then I believe at some point too, we even kind of added a diffusion underneath one of these fluorescent banks that was actually above camera right here. So just above where Kyle is, there's another 4-foot, fluorescent bank. And we just ended up kind of ballooning some sort of a 8x8 quarter grid underneath it, just to create like a softer, more flattering version of the existing light sources you see in frame.
So here, point,
hand leaves,
hand out,
boom.
And then Kyle lift up. And then drop. Come on, man. Nobody fucking reads it.
The camera stays on.
Yeah.
Cool. And set.
Come on, man. Nobody reads these.
Yeah. I mean, that was great. Okay, cool.
That was
I'm good on that.
Good.
That was really good.
Yeah, I like you.
It felt very like Wes Anderson kind of vibe. I love it.
That was good.
All right. The next frame I wanted to break down is actually the reverse of what I just showed you. And this one will be much quicker because a lot of the same things I mentioned are actually still in play, from the overhead fluorescence. This is the video store that I was saying that we kind of left on for Kyle's coverage because it kind of just filled in the shadows. Funny enough, this is like a classic cheat, right? We shot this shot at maybe 2 p.m. on a Saturday. And it's so tricky, right? Because when you're shooting an interior and you're kind of don't want to do a full overnight, since we're not seeing any windows, just behind camera right here, we have like a bunch of like flags and floppies and black cloths, the roll-up door shut. Everything from like the window side is completely blacked out. But the tricky thing is then obviously those stairs I had outside, you wouldn't really feel that blue neon coming into frame. So here, I just ended up kind of having an Astera tube on, I believe, like in sort of like a grid cloth sock, like a diffusion kind of tube, if you will. And that was just honestly floating just underneath camera, set to blue. That way, like the blue in the shadows feels motivated from when we flip the world and we see those blue lights outside. Yeah, and honestly, I just think this is a fun shot in terms of framing because once again, you have the leading lines of these, you know, kind of VHS shelves bringing your eye into Kyle. And the way we kind of positioned our talent was really in a way, and also this framing is just so like a lot of the 1-point perspective is all forcing your eye from the fluorescence leading your line, your eyes to the center, the shelves leading your eyes. It's like those little choices you can make on set that like serve like as a visual extension of the story. And I just think like, you know, if you kind of watch the short, this guy ends up getting possessed and dies, you know, essentially. So, you know, I don't know, any like little artistic framing you can kind of use to kind of make him feel alone in the space. And, you know, I was actually a really big fan of how this frame turned out. And the lens we actually chose to, you know, film this scene was a, I believe, GL Optics Leica rehoused 12mm. And honestly, this 12mm is fairly clean, like usually on a full frame VistaVision sensor, like when you go pretty wide, you know, you would think you'd start to get like weird lens vignetting or a lot of chromic aberration or the fact that it just wouldn't fill the sensor. I will say there is a little vignetting in the corners, but honestly, I probably would have added that vignetting in post later to like really like bring your eye to the center of the frame. So that characteristic didn't really bother me, but I love just how wide we were able to get. Like you can feel the whole store, which I think if you can do that in your story, your short, your feature, whatever you're doing, like a master that is so wide, that way the viewer has like visual sort of orientation. Like when you're cutting around, now they kind of are rooted in like, oh, I know the rough geography of this space. Like sometimes I see wides that are almost like telephoto lenses, but like the camera's walked way back and you lose a sense of the space. And I'm always a big fan of like wide angle lenses. And especially when you're doing a wide, it takes a little bit of extra finesse, a little bit more extra lighting, but if you can pull it off, getting a wide shot like this early in your film really helps the viewer have visual orientation to when you cut into the rest of coverage.
All right, cool. Kyle, so intro, I would like for you to say, I'm afraid I can't allow that. Like that line comes a little too late because when he leaves frame, the door's right there and the door's supposed to lock after you say that. So I'm afraid I can't allow that, sir. Like sir, and the door, yeah, and the door locks on that moment and then he pushes it and it's like, oh.
Call the cops if you want. I'm leaving.
Afraid I can't allow this.
What are you gonna do? You can't just keep me here.
Our company policy states that any delinquent payments must be paid in full to ever more videos go before exiting the premises.
We flying in?
Yeah. So I think we could go.
We'll obviously shoot Vinny's world first.
Yeah.
Anyways, that kind of wraps up this episode of Anatomy of a Frame. And if you're new here and kind of enjoy cinematography videos, you know, before even starting Prism Lens FX, like I was a career cinematographer for close to 10 years and kind of obviously since then pivoted and opened up businesses, but I've always had a love for cinematography. And after the heels of a marathon of shooting 500 plus music videos, 3 feature films, me and my buddy Jake, we ended up during COVID, just got together and kind of for a year and a half made what we feel is the best cinematography lighting emphasis course. So if these kind of style raw breakdowns and seeing raw moments from behind the scenes on set feel or seem interesting to you, you know, literally in the description of this video, we have like a $100 off discount. So you can get this whole 30+ hour course for I think $97, which is the lowest it's ever been price-wise. But I mean, if not, also feel free just to keep tuning in for these free videos on YouTube. We will always do that. But if you're just like, you know what, this was cool, like I want 30 more hours of it, definitely check the link in the description. But anyways, this is sort of a pilot first episode. Let us know in the comments if you enjoyed it. I'll see you on the next Anatomy of a Frame.